The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
Hey, good morning. We had a little bit of stuff going on here, but that's okay. We're here now. And so good morning and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, wild, natural world.
That's right, Paige, and we do this to recover our natural health and regain our rights and our freedoms. I'm Nico Haan.
And it's not the most beautiful day in downtown Clearwater. We've been all wearing our galoshes and using our raincoats because we've had that tropical storm kind of passing through, 75 degrees, and hope it's nice where you are.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day for sure. The thing is that the storm misses again, and this has been going on for years and years here in the Tampa Bay area, that the storms seem to miss us all the time. We got a lot of rain, though.
You know, I heard that we had some type of ancient Indian blessing to protect our area.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Love the natives.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. So today I really wanted to go over Alzheimer's disease. It's a form of dementia, can rob people of the ability to think. It can, you're not going to think clearly. You perform tasks and you don't even know it, I think.
Yeah, and there's so much that we don't know about the human brain today, but thankfully in 2016 there's a lot of research going on. So we're going to kind of cover, this was shared with Dr. Axe, draxe.com, 8 notable Alzheimer's breakthroughs for 2016.
Yeah, and the good news is that Alzheimer's natural treatment options can be very effective to improve conditions. You may have seen the video of the lady, I forget her name.
There's a medical doctor right here actually in the Bay Area who was a medical doctor and began researching just what are the pharmaceutical companies, what do they have up their sleeve in terms of help for Alzheimer's. She did this when her husband, just in his late 50s, started developing Alzheimer's, and she found out it's coconut oil. Coconut
oil. I think any kind of good fats probably would do the same thing, but she used coconut oil and started giving him tablespoons of it in the morning, and improvement started immediately almost. I remember her saying.
It makes a lot of sense because if you go back to what we might believe to be true is that our primal fuel was actually fats. And since we've all become sugar burners, we adapted to become sugar burners when in fact we then lose our ability to use the sugar for brain energy. And there's not good fats, we're in big trouble. Yeah, and I think that may be how that mechanism works.
Yeah, of course our brain needs sugar, but the fats and the proteins do provide that.
And they also provide good structure for membrane integrity, because remember the cell membrane is what lets the good stuff in and the bad stuff out.
So what totally matters in the beginning of everything is that what Paige always says, that food is our medicine.
Food is our medicine.
And it makes so much sense, Paige, that what we take in directly affects how we act and how we think and how our body responds to that food. I mean, there's nothing else going on besides the breathing of the air, the taking in of water, and the taking in of food. That's what defines us.
And then eliminating all of it, too. So what happens really does matter, folks. And it looks like, I think the most important thing to know is that it really does matter what you eat. And we're finding more and more that our food can help us.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Axe is a big proponent of the Mediterranean diet.
And also the primal diet.
And the primal diet, too. And he says here the food staples of the Mediterranean
diet. Are we going on
diet.
a break?
No, we're not.
Oh, okay. I'm just looking at the clock. Yeah. Okay.
So in the Mediterranean diet, of course, fresh fruits, vegetables, especially leafy greens like spinach, kale, non-starchy vegetables like eggplant and cauliflower, artichokes, tomatoes, fennel. Those are the things that he says are really good for us. And it makes a lot of sense.
Well, really, there's a lot of similarity between the Mediterranean diet and a primal paleo diet, just maybe a shift of some things. What you do see is, again, no refined sugars and lower carbs in general.
And, of course, the use of olive oil. And there's a lot of different kinds of olive oil, and we'll go over those fats. I think next week I've got a great program lined up that tells us about the oils and the fats and how different they are. Because there's some olive oils that they make that you can actually have a higher cooking ratio, up to 450 in the way it's processed. Some of them down to about 380, but none of the olive oils really you can use over 450.
I really believe that many people who follow a Mediterranean diet or the healthful benefits of olive oil are best captured by using it as a drizzle after the highest heat, as you remove it from the heat.
And we find that in Europe, that's the way they do it. They drizzle a lot.
So we're going to keep going into some of these things. So we know that Alzheimer's, there's some links to free radical damage. Hey, we've got a lot of toxins in the environment. we know it's an inability to use glucose properly. And it's also tied to vitamin deficiencies and environmental toxins. So, you know, as we're going through these 8 things that are showing up in 2016, I want everyone to remember this may not be affecting you now, but it isn't what we're seeing with the rapid increase in this disease. You know, we coin more diseases than anybody else in the world in the U.S., and there may be some motivation in terms of commerce and drugs that might be the reason that we do, but maybe we just need to look back to just basics.
So can we go over some of these, the food staples that he says are really good? Because I want to deconstruct them a little bit. We went through all olive oil and the fruits and nuts.
Sure.
So the next one is nuts and seeds like almonds, and of course...
Sesame seeds that make tahini.
Yeah,
is one of his,
exactly. But nuts and seeds, too, can be a problem for us for digesting. So I always recommend people who are using nuts and seeds to soak them.
To soak them because they have enzyme inhibitors or phytic acids, and that allows them to survive, not to become the plant. So
and also,
it's always about proper selection, sourcing, and proper preparation.
And also should mention they need to be organic, and probably raw is in a better form rather than roasting them. Because our body assimilates it better.
And legumes and beans are listed as a big part of this Mediterranean diet picture. And what we know is that the beans, the way the American people are doing it by buying a can of beans and opening it up, that's not the kind of beans we're talking about. Beans and lentils, perhaps through a fermentation process. I have a recipe for that. I need to track it down.
I remember what my mother used to do.
Fermented lentils.
She used to prepare it a couple of days ahead of time, cover it with water. Then you see all those bubbles coming up. Then she used to put a little... vinegar in it.
Right.
And then let them sit for a couple of days, and she changed the water out.
Correct.
And then after 48 hours, then she started cooking them.
And it can be vinegar, or you can take some whey, you know, the water that's on top of your...
Yeah, so you can treat it like a probiotic type of thing, too.
And that makes it a whole different bean.
Yeah. And then the next thing on the list is the herbs and spices, like oregano and all the spices that we do. And spices we know are still wild. That's the beauty about spices. So they're going to be very good for us, and I use spices liberally. I mean, it's just it enhances your food.
Think of your spices as your medicine cabinet, and it also doctors up the flavor. But the key thing to remember with spices is so many of the spices today that we get have lost their medicinal power due to irradiation. Look for brands that claim not to be both non-GMO, organic, and also non-irradiated.
Yeah, we're lucky enough to have a health food store,
Nature's Food Patch carries good lines.
So next on the list is whole grains, and of course, on a paleo or primal diet, we kind of eliminated the nuts and the seeds and the legumes and the beans and the whole grains. But if you
prepare them and you source them right.
But the problem today, too, is that, like, if we're doing wheat, there's only really one type of wheat sold in the world, mostly. We don't have all those ancient grains anymore. So I would stay away from wheat. But, you know, if you're using the grains properly and you soak them and ferment them, you're going to be all right. The next thing is eating wild-caught fish and seafood at least twice a week. Nothing wrong with that. Wild, not farmed.
Correct. These are the key things that we're trying to focus on. It's about the sourcing. It's about the preparation.
High-quality pastured, raised poultry, eggs, cheese, goat milk, probiotic-rich kefir or yogurt, consumed in moderation. Again, these are for people who are dairy, you know, people who, American Indian, black people sometimes have problems with these things, so you need to eliminate the milks. But goat milk, even people with problems with cow's milk can still do goat milk.
That's right, because sheep and goat milk are both the A2 beta-casein, and that is more, it's actually very similar to the breast milk in composition, whereas many of our domestic cows today are A1, except the Jersey, but unfortunately a lot of the milk we're getting in the grocery store is not from that species. It's not the ancient breeds that are actually A2. So if you can find a pure Jersey, but the problem with grocery store milk is that it's pasteurized and homogenized, and it's so again, like one of my mentors says, it's not the food, it's what we do to the food, and it's how we source it and how we prepare it.
So a couple more things. Red meat consumed on special occasions are about once a week. That's about what I do with red meat, sometimes twice a week, but I don't think that really matters as long as the source is good.
The average American is eating red meat on the standard American diet once, maybe twice a day.
Maybe so, with burgers and the fast food.
Maybe bacon in the morning. Well, that's, that's a pork
I don't even
meat.
call that red meat, really.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying? They're eating a lot of meat.
Okay, and then we have plenty of fresh water, some coffee or tea, naturally, organic again, and then
Here's my favorite.
Red wine.
Oftentimes a daily glass of red wine.
Yeah, I like red wine.
And I think the key with wine or spirits is enjoying those with food. I think that the more, I think because today's people are so sensitive to the effects of glucose, some people find that if they just go have alcoholic beverages, it might spike blood sugar.
Well, I find myself, I feel a lot better when I consume alcohol with food or just after food.
Correct.
If on an empty stomach, it becomes problematic.
That's the same
I just don't feel as good.
Yeah,
okay, so food is the number one thing that makes Alzheimer's, not go away.
So how simple is that? We just start to look for getting the
so
right
that's the
kinds of
number one
food.
thing you have to always go to in any kind of disease or any kind of not feeling well, or if you just want to be mindful of what you're eating, you need to pay attention to where this stuff comes from. So the second one is exercise is a potent Alzheimer's preventer.
Preventer, yeah, exactly. So while any exercise is certainly helpful for our health, and it's much better than sitting around, we're finding out that sitting is the new real threat to our health. But it's burst training, also known as high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, is a great option. And there are there's multiple ways to do it, but really the thing is just to get started. It's a very effective type of exercise because it doesn't require a lot of time or fancy equipment.
That's what I like about it. Get it over with really fast. You can do 15, 20 minutes max, sometimes even 10 minutes. And it really does make a difference. And using an exerciser like a little mini tramp is good. You can do just short little runs at your perceived intention.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people say, oh, I don't have time to run or exercise. Well, the key thing is that old cardio mentality of you need to run at least 40 minutes till you get into fat burning.
Right.
That's cardio. But what we do need to do more research on how high-intensity interval training affects the brain. But what we do know is it does melt fat faster than traditional steady type of cardio, and it lowers your BMI and lowers the risk of tangles and plaques associated with Alzheimer's, according to a study at UCLA. So there was a study that said that steady cardio creates more brain neurons compared to weight training or HIIT. So HIIT, that's interesting. So,
well, we're coming up on a break. I'd like to remind people to pick up our Primal Edge, the daily supplement, and also our newsletter. The brand new newsletter is coming out Tuesday. It's going to be all on marijuana, what you need to know about it, and where you can get more information about it. So stick around. Number here is 877-927-6648. Paige and I will be right back.
You've heard Nico Haan as co-host of Living a Primal Lifestyle, which airs every Friday at noon Eastern Time on TFNN, and would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back, folks. And we're talking about Alzheimer's and the natural cures for Alzheimer's. First thing that came up, of course, is the food. It's always the food first. Second thing, exercise. Makes sense. The third
And there's
thing,
also some research about a drug.
yeah,
and,
and I
you
don't know much about this because I don't get PMS.
Yeah, there's a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug that's been marketed as a PMS drug for cramps and pain, and it's called mefenamic acid. Mefenamic acid. And
That's a generic name. Right?
yeah, that's the generic name, and it's been sold under about 20 different brand name drugs. So they're doing some evidence on how that might help with inflammation in the brain. Of course, I like to sort of dissect things, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking if it's anti-inflammatory, we know then that inflammation is really at the root of Alzheimer's. And why in the world does it work in PMS? Well, PMS is related to inflammatory condition
Right.
where a woman's cycle is no longer in balance, and the progesterone has dropped, maybe even the estrogen has dropped, but they're out of ratio, and that estrogen becomes more powerful,
Yeah,
and it causes inflammation.
It's amazing. Our body is just a chemical factory, and everything has to be in balance. And when you have that imbalance with the estrogen and the
Incidentally,
progesterone,
I think we find that Alzheimer's perhaps has a little bit more of a instance of presentation in men. So you would wonder, why is that? Because actually when men get older, their estrogen level is relatively higher than it is for women. What happens? Women's estrogen drops,
and men's.
and men's,
goes up.
their testosterone goes down,
Oh, I
and their
see.
estrogen
Okay.
in relation. So
Yeah.
it's all about
So
relation.
it's
Isn't that
definitely
interesting?
the balance. Yeah.
As men get older, they get cold, and then the women sitting there going, turn up the
Right,
heat.
yeah. I've seen that picture where the guys there with freezing and the woman is
So it's
just
all about
sweating,
the relative relation of the sex hormones to estrogen, which, as I mentioned, I believe is really a stress hormone. Okay.
Okay. So number 4, your profession could act like an anti-Alzheimer's drug. And this, of course, if you love your job.
That's a great point. We got to love what we do because we do it a lot of our life.
Yeah, and that's something our modern society really has screwed us up with all these meaningless jobs. And
Yeah,
so,
it says the Alzheimer's Institute looked at 284 brain scans of people, middle-aged people at risk for Alzheimer's, and they found that those who worked closely with people in complex work situations were able to tolerate brain damage better than those who worked in more isolated settings.
So it's a good thing if you've had a job and you haven't really liked it. When you do retire and you start getting some of your benefits like Social Security and maybe what you've saved, then you can relax a little bit more, go find a job that you really love.
Yes. Do what you love. I mean, I think that's a great thing for us to think about every day. I like this one, and it's going to really tie in. Maybe you'll give us some tips next time in the new Health Signals newsletter, marijuana to protect the brain from Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah, there's a lot of different studies coming out now that the main component of cannabis and other compounds found in marijuana could block the progression of Alzheimer's disease. And this may be because it does stimulate many different neurons in the brain.
And I posted something on Facebook early this morning as I woke up, and I just want to read it to you because it kind of ties into that, because it makes you wonder, because remember, this disease was not around, maybe even just 1950s, right? I mean, this is a relatively new disease that we're seeing.
Well, it's definitely a disease that is kind of caused by modern living. That's the way I would put it.
So as we talk about the fact that they see the role of cannabinoids, which is the active phytochemical in marijuana, here's something I found. The reason why cannabinoids appear to cure so many illnesses is because prior to prohibition, They were part of the human food chain. Dairy cows ate feral hemp, which was rich in CBD, and passed their CBD to humans through their milk. Pigs, chickens, and other livestock, our eggs, everything, were all fed hemp, and the CBDs were in their meat and eggs. So beginning in 1937, the government eradicated all forms of feral hemp. Remember, our forefathers were growing hemp. It was actually required in the colonies to grow hemp.
Yeah,
it was part of our commerce.
Using it for rope, using it for clothes.
Why did they stop? Because in the 30s we saw this insurgence of chemical solutions, chemical fabrics, chemical ropes, and chemical, and they realized that this food might actually interfere with the drug companies' petrochemical solutions. So the real story is 80 years of human suffering and misery and untold millions of deaths, all caused by prohibitionists who supported outlawing hemp for one reason only, because they were told to. Interesting, huh? Okay.
Yeah. So on the other side of it, number 6 is avoiding certain prescription and over-counter drugs that could lower your Alzheimer's risk. So we have lots of drugs, of course, in our society, even though we were kind of against drugs, starting with Nancy Reagan, you know, and it seems like the drugs are more into the mainstream than ever before, especially prescription drugs, especially heroin, because it's a replacement for the oxycodone and it's cheaper.
Well, this will really blow your mind, folks. Remember this. When a drug goes through clinical testing, whether it be an over-the-counter drug or a prescription drug, many of these drugs are tested. Many of them, though, are not tested for how they interact with other drugs, and that's where we're getting into the problems.
Right,
people are combining drugs, and they're really not tested in that format, so truly beware.
Yeah, and it's always, you have to tell your doctor exactly what you're taking, because if he's going to prescribe something, he needs to know that. And I'm finding doctors don't ask as much anymore. Just tell, you have these symptoms, here's what is the mainstream, and this is what I'm going to give you.
Yeah, so you know, Susie Cohen is America's Pharmacist. She has a book out. It might, if you are still taking any pharmaceutical drugs, which, you know, there's a lot of, you know, we can't tell you not to, but you need to do your research. And she's a pharmacist, and she wrote a book about drug muggers and how they, you know, interfere with some of our health and rob us of our nutrients, and how they might interact, because they're not doing that for us, and that's the issue. And number 7, your gut plays a role in Alzheimer's.
Well, we talk about this a lot, that you know, your gut microbiome is what really sets you up for health or sickness or illness.
Yeah, there was a study at the University of Chicago that shows a long-term dose of antibiotics changes the gut bacteria, well, we know that, and in a way that seemed to help reduce levels of amyloid beta proteins in mice brains. That's interesting.
Our gut is often called the second brain. And future research could potentially look at more natural ways to keep our gut healthy and protect our brains. Of course, we're doing that with probiotics. We're doing that with things like our Primal Edge daily supplement. We're doing that by choosing really, really good food and choosing to eat animals that are only eating their natural food and are running wild or at least being pasture raised.
Let me clarify that a little bit. If you just heard what I said, they were saying that the University of Chicago, that being on long-term antibiotics reduced the amyloid plaques, but as Dr. Axe clarifies, this is a preliminary research, and we certainly don't want to suggest that we all start taking antibiotics. But what this breakthrough highlights is the fact that our guts are very closely tied to brain-related disease, and how much is infection.
Yeah, so if you're really...
leaky gut and infection.
So if you're really bad, the antibiotics would kill everything, then you have to kind of reprogram your gut in a way.
Yes.
I think that's what he's saying.
And I think really what we see is inflammation as a response to an invader. An invader is usually infectious in nature.
Yeah.
And we got to put that all together.
Yeah. And the last thing is kind of a personalized approach to treatment. There's a small study published in the journal called Aging. Researchers from the Buck Institute and UCLA were able to use personalized treatment to actually reverse Alzheimer's disease in patients dealing with the early stages.
Yeah, so, you know, the whole point is that really have to take a look at the individual and what's going on, their lifestyle.
And you have to find a doctor that's into these types of treatments and looking at food and looking at everything that you're taking in to combat this horrible.
Listen to this, bonus info, sleep positions matter. Side sleeping improves one of the brain's waste clearing processes, lowering the risk for neurological diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
We'll be right back.
You know what's cool?
taking something that's good for you, something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated folic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
Welcome back. We're talking about Alzheimer's today. I want to address a question we had in the chat room. The question was about the Zika virus. We talked a lot about that, I think, the last show or two. Yeah. And my concern is that you look to alternative sources of information and then make your own decision. But what we do know is that the areas that experienced the Zika virus were heavily sprayed with pesticides. Is that any surprise? And Zika has never been tied to microencephaly in the past.
No.
So and gosh knows, you know, we're actually in our country allowing them to go spray in South Florida.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're spraying around here in Pinellas County.
Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about natural mosquito repellents, using essential oils, if that was the case. But folks, I think we need to be worried. It's just like what we do to food. It's what we're doing to our environment that's creating this. This is not a natural condition. The encephaly is not related, in my opinion, and many other people's opinion. What we have is a pesticide exposure cover-up. That's my opinion.
Well, they do say that the only way you can get it from a mosquito if the mosquito has bitten somebody who already has it.
Mm-hmm. Which probably means somebody who was exposed to the pesticide in some way.
So, and I really wonder, you know, when we start doing studies on this, what the people are eating and how they're processing and what their environment is like. I think we'll find out really what's happened. Let's get back to the Alzheimer's. So we've got a couple of things here, foods to eat and foods to avoid. Of course, we talked a little bit about that everything has to be unprocessed, everything has to be organic, otherwise your body's going to think it's a foreign agent and process it in a different way. Things like the vitamins vitamin C, D, and E.
Right. Well, so we need to reduce the toxic load, and we need to support the ability of our body to survive the toxic load. And we get that primarily in all of our antioxidants and vitamins and our fat-soluble nutrients. That's one of the reasons we like more of a primal approach, or Mediterranean. They're actually very close. And the wild-caught fish is a great source of omegas.
No, and the thing I like to mention about the antioxidants and the vitamins, taking things like this, is really important today because we know we're getting poisoned. We know that already. Even the best food you can get is not the food of yesterday.
That's
true. With all the environmental things that are being sprayed on our sidewalks, the mosquitoes, everything in the air, the pollution, we're living in a real toxic world. So the thing to do today is find ways to detox and find real ways of detoxing, not only, through enemas and things like that, but the cell-ready type of detox like we have in the Primal Edge. Really important to use these types of things to heal your body so you can accept these foods that we're talking about, and they're going to act the right way.
Right. I agree.
So wild-caught fish, like you said, high in omega-3s.
And DHA particularly. DHA, I usually have my people that want to work with me take an algae-based DHA supplement because it's low in the food chain, and follow that up with antioxidants, because even though we need these omegas, a lot of these omegas that you're seeing in other stores from sources that we don't know are already damaged, very much like the vegetable oils.
And foods high in zinc are preferred, and these, of course, include the pumpkin seeds, things like grass-fed beef, dark chocolate.
Yeah, pumpkin seeds and sesame seeds are awesome for keeping the zinc high if you're looking for a food base. And we get zinc in a lot of animal foods, particularly organ meats. And we talked a little bit about coconut oil and the medical doctor who really reversed her husband's Alzheimer's by researching what the drug companies were doing. Coconut oil, we believe, can really help to keep good brain health.
We have Tom on the line from Tampa, and he's talking about some things for arthritis. So let's go to Tom. Tom, how you doing?
Hey, Tom.
Hey, good. Nico, Paige, how you guys doing?
We're doing great,
morning,
man. How you
Tom.
doing? Staying dry?
Got a boat over there? Did you guys take a boat into work this morning?
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Hey, speaking of boats, is there any validity to shark cartilage being good for arthritis? I've heard that over the years. I just want to see if you guys have ever done any research on that, what you've heard about that.
Well, I actually have not done a lot of extra research, but I do know that it's well researched, I believe, is helping to rebuild the cartilage along with collagen and gelatin. I always like to cite the study that Harvard was doing a study of a new drug for 50 people who were set to have knee surgery for arthritis and degradation. And they did the study and they administered the drug, and all of the people but maybe a handful were released from needing to have surgery. Do you know what the drug was? Chicken cartilage. Chicken cartilage. So,
chicken cartilage?
Yeah, chicken cartilage. So basically when we talk about bone broth, there's a method to our madness. Wow. So making the gelatin and all of this. So again, if we're talking about shark cartilage, same sort of thing. Anything like that, I think you're going to get a great result.
Yeah,
I believe
broth,
it's proven,
definitely.
it's safe. And if you know someone or you yourself are having issues with that, I suggest you give it a try and then see. But the omegas also help because anything that reduces inflammation. Remember arthritis, take the etiology of the word. The joints, inflammation. So anything that lowers inflammation. So really what we're talking about today are other food things that you could apply to arthritis as well.
Yeah, that's just one of them.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Tom.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks for calling in. Nice always to talk to you.
So the coconut oil and any of these things that help reduce the inflammation will help Alzheimer's too, of course. Now let's go into the foods to avoid.
Well, of course, we always want to avoid toxins in our food. And when we speak of toxins, and we've talked about potentially the threat of toxins such as this spraying and things that are actually in our environment that our bodies were not meant to detoxify, I encourage any of you that are listening to perhaps look into Stephanie Seneff's work, Seneff, PhD, MIT researcher, who is, in fact, join her on Facebook, and it's just voluminous, the research that's coming out about is it really the wheat and the wheat strain, or is it the glyphosate, Monsanto's pesticide, again, that is disrupting our DNA by interfering with an amino acid sequence, primarily glycine. Guess what? Collagen and gelatin is a great source of glycine. However, it's really a mess. It's very concerning. I think we'll have to do a show on that. But the key is avoid toxins. Number two?
Number two, alcohol. Alcohol is a toxin. It can cause brain cells to die faster than normal. In fact, there's such a thing as alcohol-related dementia.
Sure. And it also decreases your B12. When you consume excess alcohol, you're interfering with your B vitamin synthesis, and there's a big tie to mental acuity with that.
Research shows that the frontal lobes of people diagnosed with alcoholism appear particularly susceptible to damage, with evidence of markedly decreased neuron density, volume shrinkage, and altered glucose metabolism and perfusion.
Yeah, that's something to be concerned about. Next, tap water, folks. I think many of you who've watched our show know that a lot of what's in our tap water interferes with IQ, namely fluoride. I mean, all of the halogens that are added and all the other chloramines or so forth are not particularly healthy.
Yep.
But fluoride does interfere with IQ, and this has been studied. So it is important. We'll also talk more about this. There may be less toxic chemicals in your tap water than in the bottled water that many of us are buying, particularly the crinkly, scrinkly water bottles. Yeah. You want to stay away from those. We know there's over 24,000 chemicals in those. Let's look for better sources of water.
And when we mention food, I think water and food are kind of related there. This is something that we take in on a daily basis, so you really have to pay attention to it, get the toxins out. Paige and I are going to be back in a couple minutes. Just time enough to look at our newsletter. Got a brand spanking one coming all ready for you next week, and pick up some Primal while you're at it. And we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply Simply visit tfnn.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse. Next on TFNN.
And welcome back. We've got a couple of things. Of course, the foods to avoid, any food containing toxins or additives, alcohol, tap water. And now we come to, and I really like this, it says sugar and refined grains. I like that they put these together because they really act the same way.
They surely do, folks. And Alzheimer's may be caused by insulin resistance. A lot of people refer to it as the disease called diabetes type 3.
Yeah, so it's really important. Remember that doctor, the gal who gave coconut oil, that's what she was doing. She was making him not a sugar burner anymore,
but a fat burner. And the key is to keeping your insulin levels low, and you do that by eliminating sugar and refined grains. What is actually missing from the very successful Mediterranean diet? What is actually missing from a primal or ketogenic diet? Ketogenic diet is showing great research for this too. And also, guys, food packed in aluminum foil. Aluminum seems to be a heavy metal that really interferes with our health of our brain. It's neurotoxic, very high levels. And so many of us, and I grew up with the aluminum foil because it was easier to use than the shrink wraps and everything. So what do you want? You want the aluminum in your brain, or you want the plastic chemicals? Ugh. You know, best thing to do is buy yourself some glass containers and just enjoy doing dishes a little more.
Yeah. And then he goes over some things, some natural supplements. For my purposes, Primal Edge says it all because it's got all of this stuff.
Well, we really do have it, and you know, we put a lot of thought into trying to create something that we like to say could be a one-shot wonder, not completely, but because we also didn't want to put a lot of oils in it, otherwise it wouldn't be very palatable. But let's talk about some supplements that are being shown to have positive benefits in Alzheimer's. Fish oils, particularly those high in the DHA component. I have a great source for that. I think it's very important that you look for any fish oil you have is produced from fish very low in the food chain, such as anchovies and sardines. Or algae is even better.
Yeah. Vitamin D3, they recommend 5,000 IUs daily. Or get some sun is another option, of course.
Right, and I think it's best to do both and be watching your levels. You can do that through your doctor or even through the Vitamin D Council.
Yeah, and levels of CoQ10 decrease as we age, and some research has shown that supplementation may slow this down.
And I think it might be related a lot also to some processing of sugar. I've been seeing some research because CoQ10 is real important with gum health. A lot of people that have bad gums, well, what do we see? We see poor dental health in people that are eating refined grains. Right. Ginkgo biloba. Let me tell you about ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba is an herb that really is the only plant or botanical that has ever been proven to increase microcirculation. And microcirculation is how we exchange nutrients and waste at the cellular level. So adding a little ginkgo improves the brain circulation and your memory, and this could affect your Alzheimer's risk.
So there's lots of things, of course, essential oils, and these are oils that you don't really ingest. He says you can put on the roof of the mouth, but I think...
Well, that's a topic for another discussion. Yeah. You know, we have the French model and the English model of aromatherapy. I do study clinical-based aromatherapy, but one of the best things you could do every day is get some rosemary oil, add it to your shampoo, or apply it a little bit with, you know, before you're going to shampoo your hair and massage into your hair. Rosemary can actually improve memory up to 75%. And it's very pleasant, too. You get that nice stimulation. And frankincense oil goes on in terms of its benefits for many health benefits. So we can imagine that both of them have been studied for their neurological and brain function abilities.
Final thoughts on this is Alzheimer's is not part of natural aging, although it's been impacting a lot of people. And we, you know, if you've been around for a while, you know that there's a lot of people that as they grow older will get the dementia, get the Alzheimer's, and this is growing as people age.
And if you would like to find more evidence-based research, please check out Green Med Info, the world's largest data repository of natural-based solutions from PubMed. A lot of stuff that's not being supported by drug companies, but it still works.
Thanks for sticking with us, folks, and
We'll see you
be back
next
next time.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.